Well, how's it going, YouTube? Okay, we are gonna make beef stew tonight for dinner. And I promised you guys the next time I make it, I would film it for you. Now, usually I make it in the Instant Pot, but if I make it here on my stove, the lighting's a little bit better. And just in case you don't have a slow cooker, not everybody has an Instant Pot, which you can sear the meat and slow cooking it all at once. We're just going to do it a traditional way with the big pot on the stove. So whatever pot you want to use. I'm going to go through right now the ingredients that I'm going to be using, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean all of this up and then get it all chopped up and ready to go. And it'll just make this video a little less long for you guys. So, first we're going to start with some stew beef. Now, I bought this stew beef at our local meat market. You can get it at the grocery store. I do have some in my freezer from a cow that we bought last summer, I think it was. I've got another package, but it was frozen, and so you know what, I'm going to use it. So, but this time I thought I'd just make it easy, and I would make it more using something that you guys can easily get at your grocery store or your meat market. So this is 1.5 pounds of stew meat. If you like less beef, you can use less. If you like more beef, you can use more. It's totally up to you. I do, you know, this is pre-cut, but what I do is I go through, I take out any hard chunks of fat, and then I will cut a piece like this into like 3 pieces. I make it small, so it's just easier for the kids to eat, it goes a longer way, if you will. It's kind of like one of those tips and tricks, you know, so everybody gets a little bit of meat. You can make a little bit of meat stretch far if you cut it up. So I will be cutting that up. I'm also going to be adding a bag of golden Yukon Gold potatoes. This is a 3-pound bag, and I use all 3 pounds. We're going to be using an onion. So I have a sweet onion there, my bucket of garlic that I get at Costco. We go through a lot of garlic, so I'll be using some garlic. I'll be using some Worcestershire sauce. Did I say it right? Oh, please let me have said it right. We're going to be using some of that. We're also going to be using some Better Than bouillon. I know some people don't like bouillon. If you don't like it, you can leave it out. You don't have to use it. But we like it. I'm going to use probably 2, maybe 3 pieces of celery. I'm going to be using a whole bag of carrots, but again, I'm going to be cutting these into smaller pieces because this is a stew. I want everything to be able to fit on your spoon. And then we're also going to be using parsnips, which I will wash and peel. And then over here, you need a little bit of oil, right, to saute your onion and a little bit of garlic and your veggies and your meat. So I'm going to, now if you don't have this, you can just use some rosemary. This is ground rosemary. I also have this fresh dehydrated rosemary that I dehydrated myself from rosemary that I grew, which I added to olive oil. I bought myself this little, I'll leave it down below if you want a little oil dispenser like this. But I put my own dehydrated rosemary inside with some organic extra virgin olive oil, and basically made my own infused oil. And this comes in handy for bread. I like to use it to dunk fresh baked bread in, but it comes in handy when you're cooking and you're baking. It's also really good brushed on pizza crust when you make homemade pizza. So I love having this on hand. So I will be using this to saute my vegetables, but if you don't have this, you can use regular rosemary or ground rosemary. So we're going to use that. We're going to, of course, have salt and pepper. I'm going to add a little bit of granulated garlic and granulated onion. I'm going to add 2 little bay leaves to it. I do have some dehydrated granulated garlic I don't think I'll need that though, but I wanted to bring it out in case you don't have fresh garlic or a bucket of garlic like I do. You can use dehydrated or you can use some of the granulated. I'm going to add just a tiny bit of celery seed because I like the little flavor that it gives. And I'm going to add some ground thyme. I'm also going to be adding some chopped chives to mine. Again, if you don't like anything here, this is where you tweak it and make it your own. It's totally up to you. It's your stew. I'm just going to show you how I make ours. All right. Father God, as I prepare this meal, let me prepare it with loving hands. Proverbs 31 women hands. Lord, let this food nourish the bodies of my family and let them taste the love. In your mighty and holy name, amen. So, we are going to make beef stew. And beef stew is, again, you can tweak it any way that you like. I know you guys are going to want like a handwritten recipe for this. I don't have one. Every time I make beef stew, it's a little different. It all depends on what I have on hand. It all depends on what I feel like. So I honestly cook with love, and I know a lot of you do too. You cook and you measure with love. So in here I have about between 2 and 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, and I have 2 tablespoons of butter. I like to use both when I'm making my beef stew. You can choose one or the other or something different like lard or something like that. It's totally up to you. I'm going to get to chopping my onions. I have this on medium heat, just so that this butter and this oil can heat up, and then we'll get started. And as this is melting, I'm going to add my 1 diced sweet onion. You can use whatever onion you want. My kids tend to like the sweet because it's a little less potent. And so I just kind of go with that. Plus it's readily available in my tiny town. Okay. Kind of toss this around a little bit. And of course there's a paper in there. I did wash off all that paper and I threw it in my onion stock. So it'll go to good use. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a heaping tablespoon of garlic. Like I said, we like garlic in this family. Okay, so as that is frying up, I'm going to add, I don't have to do this. You can do the instant mashed potato trick to thicken up your stew if you want. I do that too. But today I'm just going to add a little smidgen. Maybe I'll do, that's probably about 1.5 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, okay? And that's just going to help thicken it up. I'm just going to cook this flour a little bit. Now I showed you in my last, in my cottle stew video, that if you need to thicken up a stew or a soup, you can use instant mashed potatoes, just a little bit at a time until you get it to the thickness that you like. It's a great trick to where you don't have to like worry about cooking the flour. You can do all these little onion papers. You can do the what is it? The where you add it with water. Cornstarch. You can use the cornstarch and water trick too. I don't really like that. I don't know. It's got a weird like glazy look to it. It just kind of freaks me out. So I don't like doing the cornstarch. That is not my preferred method. So, all right. So I got that. Now I'm gonna add in. I'm adding in 3 stalks of celery. And if you notice it's a little dry, you got to add a little bit more oil. You can do that. In fact, I'm going to add some of my infused rosemary oil. That would be so good. Ooh. Have fun when you cook, guys. Alright, just a little. Just a smidgen. Just a smidgen. And now, I'm going to just let that kind of saute up just a little bit. Okay, so once all of that is nice and soft, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our stew meat. Now, if you are cooking for a man who loves big pieces of stew meat, by all means, don't cut them up. But, I cook for kids. So I take that stew meat and I cut it up. It's what my mom used to do for me and my sister. And so, that's what I do for them. So it fits in their little mouth and they don't have, you know, they don't have to try to eat such a big piece of meat. So I'm just going to put some pepper. I'm going to do some pink Himalayan salt. And then I am going to put a spoon here because I don't like to and give that a toss and just cook the meat until if you notice it's sticking a little, just add a little dab, a little dribble of water. That always seems to. Now that I have the beef cooked down and of course all the water is coming now out of the celery and the onions, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my carrots and my parsnips. I know some of you can't find parsnips where you live, so disregard if you don't have parsnips. Rutabaga is good in beef stew. Love a rutabaga. Okay, so I'm just going to stir that around. I add Worcestershire sauce. I cannot tell you how much. I had to guess maybe a quarter cup. I also add Better Than Bouillon beef. If you don't like this, you can skip this part. I add about I got a teaspoon. So 2 heaping teaspoons, maybe equal to 2 tablespoons. I'm just going to use up the rest of the jar here. It's always better to add a little bit and then add more if you need it than to add too much. So if you like it more, add more. This is usually really good for us. Now you can add mushrooms to this if you want. In fact, I'm going to add just a can. My kids aren't big fans of mushrooms, but a little bit they like. Alright, so okay, so let's go ahead. Let's add a can of mushrooms. I don't have any more home canned mushrooms, but I do have home canned beef broth. So you want to smell it. You want to take a look at it, make sure it looks beautiful. And I'm going to add that right in. And here's a second one. These are my last 2 pints. But I have beef bones in my freezer. So I'll be making some beef broth here very, very soon. Alright, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of boiling water to this. Just to deglaze my pan a little bit. Now, of course, if you're cooking for adults, you could add wine to this. It would be fantastic. But, alas, I cook for children, and so there will be no wine here. They don't even like the taste of it, even if you boil out the alcohol. It does not matter. So, there we go. Nice and smooth now. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and add in our potatoes. Now you'll notice I cut some potatoes small, and then I cut some bigger because the little ones tend to cook down and make the stew thick, and then the big ones will stay and be like a meaty potato in your stew. So okay, now once I get the potatoes in, I can gauge how much more liquid I need. So I do have a container of beef broth. Makes you so sad to use store-bought beef broth when you make your own, you know. But it is what it is. It's fine. And I'm gonna add the whole container because I want everything submersed in that liquid. All right. Now, I'm going to give this a little stir. Now, as this cooks, I'm going to come in and taste it. And then I'm going to tweak the seasonings as I go. But we are going to add a little bit of seasoning to start. So the first thing we're going to add a couple of bay leaves. You want to take those out before you serve, though, because ain't nobody want to bite into a bay leaf. All right, I'm going to add a sprinkling of chives. Actually, that takes too long. Let's go to the bigger section here. Okay. I'm going to put just a pinch of celery seed. We're going to do a pinch of ground thyme. I like the ground thyme rather than the leaf because the kids just don't complain as much. We're going to put a little sprinkle of granulated garlic. We're going to do a little sprinkle of granulated onion. Maybe a little more than a sprinkle. We like onion. And we're going to just do a little pinch of rosemary, not much. Now to this I'm going to add a bit more pepper, freshly ground. Pinch more salt here. Not much salt because we are using the bouillon. Although the potatoes will kind of soak up that salt. And now we're going to go ahead, we're going to bring this to a boil. And when it comes to a boil, then I'll put it down on simmer and I'll put the lid on and slow cook this. All right, I'll bring you back when it's boiling. You can see that this is starting to come up to a boil. I'm gonna give this another stir. I'm gonna let this start cooking. It is 4 o'clock. This should be ready to eat by 6:30. I got bread in the oven. I've got an apple dump cake in my lasagna cooker. I will show you the whole meal when it's all done. You'll hear Nina singing downstairs. So I'm going to keep an eye on this, and if I notice that it needs just a little bit more water, I have my kettle on with boiled water. I'll just go ahead and I'll just add a little bit more water to it. And I'm going to turn this down to a medium low. I'm going to just crack the lid a little bit so steam can come out, but that it's mostly covered. In fact, I'll kick it back in the front so I can keep an eye on it. And that's it. I'll bring you back when this is. Show you my bread that's about to go right in the oven. And then over here, ignore the very messy kitchen now. Got a mess to clean. That is our apple dump cake for dessert. Yum. I love this thing, by the way. I use it all the time. I can't sit you as close as I was because I'm steaming you up. So this is, it's almost 6 o'clock. This is ready to serve. Everything is nice and cooked. It tastes phenomenal. I did end up adding just another teaspoon or so of Better Than Bouillon, just to kind of beef up the taste a little bit because I was adding some water to it. As you see, it's cooked down quite a bit. I want to fish out these little bay leaves. Do not serve the bay leaves. And I gotta find the other one. Hopefully I'll be able to find it. I did bake some baguettes. I'm gonna find that other leaf. It's in here somewhere. One of the kids will get it. Or I'll get it. Now, if you want this a little thicker, and that's what's kind of, oh, there it is, there it is. Whoop, 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 whoop. There it is. Okay, we got both. If you want this a little thicker, you could continue to cook it down, or you do the famous instant mashed potatoes. Just add a little bit of that to it. And I showed you this trick when I made the Irish cottle stew. I think that was that last week? It might have been last week. And so you just add a little sprinkle at a time until you get it thickened the way that you like. Just a little bit more here. Get that stirred in. And you see how nice and thick that made that? That's really good. And it tastes really good. Okay, so I'm going to serve this up. I'm going to make a bowl and serve it with some homemade bread. I made salted baguette breads with the pretzel salt. And yeah, I will show you the completed dinner. Okay, here, I'm going to show you Mason's bowl. Mason, do you want to taste test it?
Yeah.
You want a piece of meat? I know you like the meat. I try to give you some extra meat in there. Is that good? So that's the finished product.
That looks so good. With
some salted, with some Kerrygold butter. You excited about that, right? Alright, want to taste it? Blow it. so you don't burn your lips off.
Hello.
What do you think? So good? So good? Okay, let me make Mina's bowl now. Alright, here, you can go to the table.
Right.
But that's it, you guys. I hope you give this a try. If you do, let me know. And, easy, right? And we cut down the beef. But you see, it's still chunky. It's still beefy. Spread that £1.5 pounds. That's $8. Okay, alright, someone's calling. Okay, since I ended the video kind of abruptly with a phone call from my doctor's office, I just wanted to show you how beautiful it turned out. The consistency, nice and thick with just that little bit of potato added to it. So good. The kids inhaled it. There's enough left over for lunch tomorrow, so everybody can have a little bowl for lunch. And that's how you stretch £1.5 pounds of meat. With some carrots and some potatoes. You don't have to have the parsnips in there if you don't want. This is a pretty inexpensive meal all in all. So, cut up that meat. Make it little bits. That way it looks like there's more. And it fills you up. And then fill it with potato. Fill it with rutabaga. Fill it with, you know, I mean, you can put whatever you want in this, but that, you know, you could serve this for dinner again. This is enough for me it's a lunch, but you could definitely do this as a dinner again. So I put it over rice. If you need to stretch it, like say there's just enough for like, there's enough for, I don't know, like 4 bowls. Say you need 5 bowls, 6 bowls. Serve it with some rice and that'll stretch it too. These are all like, these are all things that I do and that I have done as a mom of many, and how to make a dollar stretch. So I hope this video was helpful. Alright, I'm going to end this properly now. Love you guys. God bless, and I will see you soon. Bye.